Guys, what we're about to share with you or show you has caused a lot of problems in our house and in our relationship. And just to give you a little background on this, I recently went to the local Family Dollar, and when I walked in, I noticed that there was a camera system watching my face, and a little red thing was around my face, and it went green. And I guess they recognized me. So I went home, I brought back the cereal that I had bought there, and I told Mercedes that it freaked me out. What the heck is going on? We're in Ida, Alabama, the middle of nowhere.
There's a population of 700.
Right. And so I went down the rabbit hole. I was up most of the night that night doing some research. I knew this technology was actually, being used. I had no idea that they have gotten as far as they have. I feel it's extremely important to share this information with as many people as I possibly can. Mercedes does not want anything to do with this video. Mercedes will not participate. You would prefer to participate.
I love you, baby, but don't speak for me.
Okay.
Okay, so I got rid of all the stuff that was like, annihilation and apocalyptic, and I tried to focus on the hope. But if you guys, when John says comment, what he means is if you want to hear more videos like this, let us know. If you want to hear more videos like this, I will probably not be participating.
I'll be doing them by myself.
Unless there's two things. A, unless there's hope, or B, like an actual solution.
And you know what, baby? There is hope in this. I believe there is hope. You just mentioned the YouTube channel. We look at it a little bit differently. We've always had this contention between us, okay? We just passed 20 million views on YouTube.
That's crazy.
I feel that we are blessed beyond belief.
I hate this topic. Like, I just feel like we're an RVing channel. People are here to pursue freedom, independence, and adventure. And RVing helped us find freedom, independence, and adventure.
And now we're homesteading. Why are we homesteading? Because the world started to fall apart and we wanted a piece of property to run to.
No, because
and we ended up getting a big enough piece of property so that we can share it with other people, the people who have supported us.
Because we want safety and security. Yeah, that's fair. But it's like, what's the solution? And I do think that this world lacks a little grit, but at the same time, it's like, you can't take away my hope.
So this is what's been going on in our house for the past few hours, a lot of tears. What I'm going to ask you guys to do is please watch the whole video. I think it's so important that if you guys could, especially our members, watch the information. I don't want to bring you to any conclusions. Bring yourself to those conclusions and let us know. Would you like that I would prepare you for the future of any other types of things that I come into like this by sharing them with you? Again, it'll probably be alone, but leave a comment. What do you guys think? Or do you want us to stay away from this stuff altogether? You just mentioned that we're an RVing channel. We're not an RVing channel anymore. We bought a campground. Why do we buy a campground? Because we were out in the middle of a pandemic with nowhere to go. So we started praying for discernment and asked for a safe place to go. And we ended up getting a place that was large enough for our whole community. Hundreds of people can come here now. And all I'm doing now is I'm paying attention and preparing myself and our family and our friends for what possibly is coming our way, because things certainly are not okay in the world right now.
Okay, but I'm sorry, guys. Maybe I do need to participate in this, because if you're the one that does this, it's just too negative. You got to bring some hope.
God, I'm not being negative, sweetheart.
How is this positive? Explain to me what the...
There's going to be a third of people who have never heard of anything like this before, but once I bring it to their awareness, they will start to look around and they'll see it, because it's right there in front of us. It's out here in Ida, Alabama. That's what tipped me off.
Which makes no sense. Yeah.
The other third of people are going to not want to look at it. I think people like you, they're going to see it as nihilistic, and then you're going to have that third of people who are going to jump right into the new system. It's fine. And I think a lot of our young kids, because they're so attached to their technology and their phone, but it's our phones are the problem, guys. It's changed everything. And this video is going to explain to you the technology that's been built right behind our backs. There's 3 private corporations in this planet right now that are making decisions for us in America that we did not vote in. It's the WEF, World Economic Forum.
The NGOs.
Right. Yeah. It's in NGOs. It's the United Nations. And it's the Federal Reserve Bank. Do you know those are all 3 private corporations? And they've made a decision long ago. The richest people, the elite, they've made a decision on where they want humanity to go. And I think the importance about bringing this stuff to our friends is so that they become aware of it. I do think we can beat it back. in the end, God wins, guys. We know who wins. I cannot stick my head in the sand. I have to bring this to those that I love and those who have supported us. So I found a guy named Aman Jabi, and Aman was in the tech center for the past 20 years, creating all this technology. And back in 2019, he went to Shenzhou, China, I think is the name of it, and he saw what he had built, what that technology had gone to, and he swears up and down it's already here. They just haven't unleashed it yet. So I hope you take the time to watch the video. Maybe say a prayer before you do it. I don't want to get you to any conclusions about this, but what do you guys think? Should I have just stayed away from this? Again, God gives us all a purpose. I think that, again, Isaiah 58, that I've got to sound my trumpet and let those that I love know what's coming our way.
The way I've broken up my presentation is initially, I'm going to introduce what is facial recognition and how it's been sold to us as a public across the world and how it's being used. Then I'll kind of move to sharing, how cameras and surveillance has been set up in China and across the world and how that is being sold to us. From there, we'll, transition to how a digital panopticon that's being built for our safety and security. And then I'll switch to, a little bit I'll talk about smart cities and, how all the smart light infrastructure and all the surveillance is connected to, helping us along in the future. That's being sarcastic. And from there, I'll make a transition to, actually how the digital identity is going to be used in the future and how it's going to be implemented through the internet and all our devices.
You owe it to me to stop ruminating on this stuff, because I wasn't just mad at John for like the 40 minutes of my life spent like listening to this stuff. I was mad at him because he spends his time listening to this stuff. So it's that balance of being informed, but at the same time,
I spend a lot of my time in my Bible too.
It's that balance of being informed, but at the same time, not only focusing on the bad.
And I'm not only focusing on my bad. I think that's a bad representation of what our life is. We have a lot of love and happiness and good things. I spend a lot of time in prayer. We spend a lot of time in prayer. But I feel it's my responsibility of the man in our home to look ahead and always make sure that my family and my children are going to be taken care of if anything happens to me.
Okay, so
that's all
what's
this
the
is.
solution? What's the solution?
At the end of this video, guys, I'm going to stick some narrative in as we go through this. It is a long video. It's about 30 minutes. I didn't want to mess any of this up, and I'm certainly not a professional on this.
So how does facial recognition work? Most of us, we use these smartphones, and the benefits to us and how it's been introduced is that, it unlocks your phone and it's convenient, and it's also for our safety and security. So the way it works is there's an invisible or infrared projector inside your phone, which throws a beam of light. It's like actually what they call a structured light pattern. And that pattern gets distorted on your face, and that distortion is unique for every face in the world. And some sort of a formula is computed, and that formula is then matched to the formula and dots that have been stored in the phone. And then it unlocks your phone when it authenticates your identity. When you're looking at facial recognition cameras which are not in your phone, then that equation or the dot pattern is compared with millions of other images and faces in order to verify your authenticity. So that's how facial recognition works in devices and cameras.
And it is ironic because I've always had an issue with the facial recognition in the cameras to open up the iPhone. I won't do it. I'm sure they still have the face in the pictures, but I won't do it. Or the Mac where you give your fingerprint in order to. I won't give them my fingerprint, and you do, which is kind of funny.
I give them my fingerprint, but I won't let them do my facial recognition. But I never even considered that staring at my phone for an hour or two a day, the camera system already knows who I am.
Yeah.
I always imagined the number of the beast would be inserted like a digital chip or a QR code on the back of our neck. I never imagined that just simple cameras could identify us in such a way that they'd have so much control over us, you guys. This is the beast to me.
The way this has been sold to us have been the carrots. It's for convenience, of course, and it's for our safety and security. And of course, it's to catch the bad guys. You know, it's to catch terrorists and thieves and child molesters. And as a society across the world, we bought this story. And by the end of the presentation, or even I'd say 70% into this, you will see how the sticks are coming for all of humanity. And the sticks are going to be, sealing our fate. It's going to be really bad, right? The way it's been shown in China, Big Brother has already met big data and facial recognition and cameras. They have been computing now for a few years social credits for all the Chinese citizens. And social credits can be used to directly control the behavior of people. Right? I was at a conference in China in late 2019 in Shenzhen. And Shenzhen is kind of one of the ultimate smart cities already built by then. And this was the kind of, surveillance that you see at every intersection, every building. So they have license plate readers, they have lane detection cameras, they have face recognition cameras. They are sucking up data in real time, 24/7. And they have screens everywhere you go in railway stations, in airports. And they are telling you, we are watching you, we know who you are, and we are going to keep watching you, and you're going to be okay with it.
God, do you guys remember 5 or 6 years ago when you always saw videos in China and they all had masks on? Here in America, you were like, what happened? That would never happen here. It did happen here.
So here's, some girls showing off their social credit scores on an app. And what that does is it controls directly your behavior and your compliance based on how the algorithms and Big Brother wants you to behave.
What they do is they're measuring 3 things, and it's already built in here, guys. If you don't think that each of us already has a social credit score, you are wrong, absolutely wrong. What they do is they measure your social credit score, your carbon credit score, right? What you're using, and then your what they're trying to get here now is the medical identity, right?
Right. So you'll see lots of documentaries from Australia, England, United States. BBC continues to come out with documentary about every few weeks, and the narrative is that privacy and freedom are dead in China. Social credits control system is already there in China, and implicitly we in the Western world are free. What they don't tell you is it's already happening here. We don't have any privacy or freedom. The credit scoring system has already started, and we are not free. It's just that we have not yet been given an app to show us what our social credit scores are. At some point, they are going to do that, and it's not too far from now. Right? What is not said is that cameras per capita in the United States is greater than in China as of February 2022. And London, which is one of the supposedly free cities in the world in a free country called the United Kingdom, it's number 3 in the world in terms of cameras per 1,000 people. So the infrastructure here is in place. All the systems are in place in the West, and they are expanding. And by 2025, $2 trillion would have been spent in installing the infrastructure of cameras, surveillance, and smart cities. And by 2030, that number is going to be at $7 trillion. And these reports have all been published. That's the kind of infrastructure that's being spent.
Guys, what do you think all that infrastructure money, the trillions of dollars in infrastructure money for the past few years when they had us locked down, what do you guys see any roads or bridges being built? No, it's all going into the new infrastructure of camera systems and lights and equity, they call it. Right under our noses, no one ever voted for any of this stuff, so I think it's important to bring this to you guys. You decide for yourself. Give us a comment.
So while the world was sleeping, and COVID was announced in March of 2020, and most of the places in the world were locked down, in quarantine, and the Fear TV was blasting in every home in the world, they were installing the smart city infrastructure with cameras and smart lights and smart poles. By the end of 2022, 1 billion surveillance cameras connected to the internet and to the cloud and artificial intelligence will have been installed. And that's for a population of 7 billion people. It's not to catch the bad guys, in case you hadn't figured that out. It's to catch all of us because we are all the bad guys. Right? And by the end of 2022, we are going to have over 20 billion data collection cameras. That includes all our smartphones, home security cameras, your cameras in automobiles, and when you reverse in autonomous driving cars and whatnot. So that's the kind of surveillance that's being done as we speak. So in the old days, human eyeballs used to sit in front of TV screens to look at, traffic or people running, after stealing a bank or something. But that is so yesterday. Today we have smart artificial intelligence cameras that are effectively the security guards. They're connected to the cloud, and in the cloud is running artificial intelligence, and it's identifying and analyzing and logging and learning about every human being all the time in real time. So no human beings are necessary. We are being replaced by AI in probably 70% of activities around in the world. So when are we not alone? Pretty much never, not even in our own homes. And so here is a picture of what they call a panopticon. It's a circular prison, and this is a picture of a circular prison in a state of Rhode Island in the northeast of the United States from the late 1920s. So you see that the prison guards are in the center, and they can look at all the, the prison cells. So all the prisoners basically are never in a private moment, So they can be monitored all the time at the whims of the guards that are in there. What we have today is a digital panopticon. So we are effectively, both symbolically and practically, inside a prison cell. Even though you don't have the four walls, erected yet, computer vision, along with cameras and artificial intelligence, is looking at us, analyzing us, logging us, and learning our behavior, and then it's going to be scoring us, and then rinse and repeat. They have satellite cameras, drone cameras, they have license plate readers, they have invisible infrared cameras looking at passengers and drivers. It's ridiculous how much we are being monitored all the time. And of course, it's always in the name of safety and security and convenience. Remember those words. Anytime you hear a television head speaking or reading the newspaper or social media, beware of those three words.
I would appreciate if you'd watch it all the way through. And some of you, just like every video we do, some of you will love it, some of you will hate it. I do ask RB Odd Squad members to watch all of it in the way that I presented it and give me tips, or say don't ever do this again. I'd really appreciate it.
And inside your home, we are all giving up our data and helping Big Brother. And I almost know nobody in this world who doesn't use technologies from one of these companies. We are on a Zoom call, by the way. So all these companies, amongst many others, are all involved in the so-called stakeholder capitalism that's being implemented. And every time, we are using our devices or not using our devices, if we are on a network connected to the internet, data is being collected on us. So this is not about surveillance. This is about data collection, and you'll see the difference as we continue the presentation. Here's a picture at night with smart poles and smart street lights. They're being put up all around the world. The expectation is, not the expectation, the reports have said that by 2030, 600 million of these street lights will have been installed around the world. Just think about that. They have these bright, oppressive LED lights, which have kind of gotten rid of a natural darkness in our lives. And these are, I'm going to show you what these are about to do. But this is being sold as smart cities, which is for your, not only for your convenience, it's good for the environment and for global warming and climate change. And that's how they've been ushering these in. Here's an example of a smart pole with a smart city light. They will have speakers to give instructions to people if they don't already in Australia. I think I've seen stuff from Melbourne that already has those. They'll have digital signage. It'll be sold for your convenience, but again, it's about giving instructions to people on how to behave. They're going to have face recognition cameras. They're going to have all sorts of pollution sensors. That's how they're selling it. The top of some of these lights is going to have drone charging stations. Why? Because drones are going to be the new aerial police, along with other things. And they are all going to be wirelessly connected to each other and to the internet. And this is part of the Internet of Things. And these smart cities are about data collection, number one. And we are going to see how they're going to enforce people to behave, number two. So here is a diagram on the right. This I found in a paper at the World Economic Forum website, and it was published in 2018. And the digital identity, they say, is a new chapter in the social contract. It's a social contract that nobody signed up for and nobody wants, but they are, planting this on us and going to force this on us. And every entity, person, device, and thing is going to have a digital identity. And once you sign on to a digital identity, the only way you can access healthcare or your bank finances, ability to travel, ability to access the internet, to go to social platforms or do anything in your life, to buy food, you need a digital identity. And how will that digital identity be authenticated? Through your face. So your face is the key to unlocking access to life. And this key is going to be linked to a new type of financial system, which is going to be a combination of carbon credits, your social credits or social score. The technically correct term is reputation capital. And then, of course, your status with respect to vaccines and boosters and injections. And if you don't have enough carbon score, if you don't have enough social score, or you haven't taken your latest booster, your face will not be able to unlock your digital identity, and therefore you cannot access stuff. You'll be locked out of the whole new matrix system. And this is what they call central bank digital currency, or CBDCs. They may have minor variations in different countries, but this is essentially the key to understanding what sort of a new world that is going to be, upon us once the final switches are turned on.
Why are you telling people this? I hate that. No, scratch that.
The final piece I'm going to add to this is you'll sit there and you'll say, well, how the heck are they going to, enact this? How are they going to actually pull the trigger and get this thing going? Guys, I believe the dollar, our fiat currency, is about at the end of its life. Throughout the history of the world, fiat currencies have always failed. Always. And I think that the dollar ultimately will fail, just like all the other 5,000 fiat currencies in history. And when that happens, they're going to try to move us on to the CBDCs, right? Which is a digital dollar for the Fed, the Federal Reserve CBDCs. That's how they're going to get us. You think your money's insured in a bank up to $250,000? What if they don't have it? What if there are bail-ins, and the only way that they can replace the money that you had in the bank is with this new credits or CBDC? When we get to a point when we download that information onto our phone and we start participating in the system.
I like these guys, and I just came across their videos, and then he had this video, so I figured I'd do it. I went and watched a bunch of their videos, and in the background behind their heads in a lot of their videos are the mineral streets going all over the fucking sky. They don't see them. They don't know they're there. They're only onto a small portion of what it is I'm trying to show you. Why does no one see them? Well, why are we ignoring them? The same thing that these guys are complaining about that they're doing on the ground, they're doing with the skies. They're doing with the sunlight, you know? So why is no one seeing it? Bothers the hell out of me. You know, because they're so awake to all these other things that are going on. But yet, the biggest things of all, the things that would get us out of all these other things, the things that would save us, no one will look. These are the clouds running up behind on the top screen, by the way. January 24th, they're on the Miguel Everyone channel.
It's over. It's over. It's like getting a bunch of our cows into a corral, and then once they've got that and we start participating in it, the gates close. We're done.
We'll see you in the next video, guys.
And how does this link to smart cities? Because your face is going to be tracked wherever you're going. Your social score will be updated in real time based on who your friends are, or whether you're social distancing, who you are walking with, when you're walking, where you're supposed to walk, etc., etc. And the universal basic income that they are now starting to give in some countries, that's also about giving carbon credits. Your carbon credits are going to be limited per month, and that's how it's going to go. Right? So your digital identity is really a digital prison, and your face is used to unlock the digital prison if you behave well.
Yeah, because you guys are going to be kind of our guidepost or like our survey. There's another point in this video where it talks about the geofencing. And I think that does impact our viewers a lot, because one of the best things about the U.S. is how you can just travel anywhere in the U.S., going on road trips. That's something that's really special here. And it will be interesting to see if geofencing makes it that RVing is only available to certain people that can afford certain things.
All right, so you do understand about 15-minute cities. You do
15
realize,
minute.
okay,
I
this is
wanna
all
do-
part of the whole thing,
I want to
guys.
do a video just on 15-minute cities.
So you're open-minded to do that video, but why not this video?
Because this video had me crying.
Well, and my job is not to upset you. My job is to keep you happy so that Sage has a happy mama. Okay? If I had any idea that this would have affected you in the way it did to tears, finding you in tears watching this, I never would have shared it with you. I just felt a responsibility to share this information with the RV Odd Squad and run it by you. And I was a little bit shocked that you were so adamantly opposed to us showing this.
It's not that I'm adamantly opposed to us showing this. It's that there's a clarity on what we're doing, why we're doing it, and also I think it's important when you deliver messages that are difficult to people that you do it in a way that's palatable. Just what are the facts? What's the solution? You know, what can be done about it?
And there is a solution. It's to bring it to everybody's attention we possibly can. And hopefully our brothers and sisters, together we can fight back against this.
How are they going to implement this? There's a new protocol called Zero Trust in cybersecurity worlds of, software and server companies that are implementing this. And so by default, we are going from a world of implicit allow to default deny. So as an example, when you log into your computer, you type in a password, and when you type in a password, you have access to all your browser, your files, your applications. But now this zero trust is about default deny, which means we don't trust you, and for everything you need to do, you'll be denied initially until you can prove that you're trustworthy, and that trust will come from face recognition and your digital identity, right? And so this is going to be the new world. It's going to be a world with locks, and anything we want to do anytime, all the time, whether you want to switch on your smart, your smart oven, or open your smart refrigerator, or get into the internet, get into Facebook, you're continuously being monitored by your face and your digital identity. So the concept of HTTPS, which is like secure authentication when you go to websites, everything is going to be removed because the algorithms and AI, they need to keep watching you and how you're behaving. They're going to be storing your emotions. They're going to be tracking your eye movements, and everything's going to be recorded all the time. So this is where we are going if we allow this to happen. Here's an example of how zero trust principles are going to be used when you go to the new shopping paradigm, where all the doors are going to be digital screens, locked with some very heavy-duty plastics or LEDs, and you want to be able to open the door without your digital ID. So digital ID is all about conditional access. So if you have your carbon credits for the month are expired, that door won't open to get beef. If you've had too much sugar for the first 2 weeks and your credits have expired for the sugar, the door won't open to get your orange juice. So these types of doors are going to have face recognition cameras, and your digital ID will be used to unlock these doors. And there's something known as smart contracts. If people don't know, you'll start reading about it. Smart contracts is really the if, then, and else logic that goes behind this digital currency with social and carbon credits. And this concept is called identity as a service. And identity as a service, there are many companies building businesses around it. They leverage companies that do face recognition as a service. And every time your or anybody's face is in front of a camera, there's a chain of corporations making money in real time. So they found everybody's face is another great way to monetize in Wall Street and beyond. And this is also going to be used for geofencing. Geofencing is a term where symbolically, basically, you're geographically, whether it's in the internet and the metaverse or in the physical world, they can build an invisible fence with your digital ID and control your access to everything. So where you can travel by airplane, or where you can drive, or how far you can drive, how far you can walk, where in the metaverse you can go, who you can communicate with, who you can text, what book you can read, what content of the book you can read, everything is going to be monitored as well as manipulated. And where you can walk, they will limit
Say some body
you
imagery.
using all these puke guns
It's like
and
body
LED
imagery here
lights,
with this
but
face.
they are the weapons that are going to limit how far you can walk, and that's related to the 15-minute cities and 20-minute neighborhoods that they are building right now. So the goal is to lock down humanity in these smart cities and not allow them to move anywhere, pretty much. So the digital identity is inside the Trojan horse of security and privacy. I can't stress this enough. Whenever you hear the word security and privacy, run. And this will result in total control of humans, because people will comply in order to unlock access to life. And how is they going to use this with kids? There's a concept called social and emotional learning that's been creeping into schools for many years, for the last few years. It's also known as CEL. And the goal is that all kids will be monitored from cradle to career. And cameras and face recognition and emotion recognition are going to be at the heart of this. So they can even be monitoring the emotional state of a child, and the algorithms can decide whether the child abuse is happening at home. And then they can come for the children, which they will. Here's an example of this purple device. It's a talk pedometer. So whenever parents are talking to their child, the audio is going up to the cloud, and AI is monitoring what the parents are telling the kids. So if you're not talking enough about global warming and climate change, your carbon credits and social credits are going to go low. So you will be controlled on what you tell your kids. In return, the kids will be getting programmed by whatever the AI wants you to tell your kids. Here's an example, and these are devices that are already in the market. These are not like futuristic devices. People are already buying them for their homes, thinking that these are really cool gadgets to get home. Here's an example of an LED game board, and it has fisheye cameras looking at the kids, and depending on how the kids are reacting, the AI board game can modify what's being shown on the screen. And so at the heart of all this is a digital ID, remember that, which requires cameras and face recognition. Uh, they're also going to be used further in human capital value extraction. So they're going to make money in securitized futures markets, much like they did it, going into the 2008 crash, where they had all these mechanisms to do layer upon layer of mortgage derivatives when the market crashed. So this is a new way of making money through faces and cameras. And so they can manipulate a child with SEL, because what the child sees on the screen and what the camera sees, how the face, it can modify what it's showing on the screen. You start manipulating the behavior of children when they are in screen in front of a screen. That's why they've been giving free computers for kids, all across the world. It's why they have false flag shootings in schools, and everyone is fighting for gun control versus gun rights. And the fear TV is, blabbering all day long all over the world. It's about installing more security cameras and more face recognition cameras in the schools to keep the children safe. It has nothing to do with shootings, and people need to understand that. So here's an example of how they make money. They could go to top performers in a given class of schools across a state or something, and they group them along with their pathways, as in predictions on where their life is going to go, and they gamble on that based on prodigy asset groups that they form. And the future results will give them all the social and carbon credits and all the cryptocurrency they need. So they're going to make even more money from the broken kids, because then there will be intervention. And when there's intervention, they can do all sorts of more betting on the behavior of kids going forward at different points in time in their career, all the way from cradle to career. So this is just a game to the people who are, manipulating this whole human civilization as we speak. So the emphasis, so if there are any parents in the audience here or grandparents, you need to really understand that if you're sending your kids to schools, private or public, they will have cameras in them, they will be given devices. All the devices are looking at them all the time. And it's not about knowledge, it's all about social and emotional control of the kids. So I can't stress enough, if you have kids, take them out of school, start homeschooling them with your friends and family who are, pretty good at teaching. And now, last month, I think it was late April, yeah. So late April, and so I'll skip this, but here in Montana, I can change Montana to Sydney, Melbourne, Newcastle, whatever, and there's cameras everywhere. And Montana, I live in a small place, just 4,500 people. The closest town is half an hour away. And when you go there, there are hundreds and hundreds of smart city lights. It's really disgusting. And we have in our local state legislature, there's a study for facial recognition technology, and that's a complete red herring. So if you start seeing that in states or cities in Australia, just know that banning facial recognition means nothing, because your government, neither your government nor your state nor your local officials are doing facial recognition. So banning it is pointless, because the facial recognition is going to be done in the cloud on Amazon and Google servers with artificial intelligence algorithms. Cameras installed by private companies on public lands, which are now owned by private corporations. So I've been having a very interesting time trying to fight this here. And so if you go to retail stores now, they have cameras at self-checkout counters as well as non-self-checkout counters, because they're looking at everything you're buying. There are 4 facial recognition cameras when you enter any foyer now. So they've established who you are when you enter, and they're going to track you every square foot inside retail stores. And then you have the parking lot panopticons that are looking at all your cars and everybody. And then you have 5 cameras at this entrance. So it just goes on and on. This is not for safety and security. This is to track people, to do data collection, identity as a service, and then your digital ID tied to your behavior, your compliance, what you're buying, when you're buying, who you're with, everything. There's a company called ID.me that is doing public-private partnerships. Their goal is inclusivity, diversity, etc., etc., no identity left behind. and it's also for equity, so everybody's equal. But really, it's about taking your password, combining it with your driver's license, your passwords, and then doing digital selfies to unlock government and services like healthcare or retirement and stuff. So they are going to suck us all in into the digital ID system one way or the other, and people need to understand that so that they can say no. Because once we accept the digital identity, it's game over for human civilization. Everybody will be fully controlled, and you will behave in exactly how they want you to behave. B times C times D equals R, where B is biological knowledge that they are picking up through your smartwatches, your PCR tests, your DNA tests. Compute power is all the compute power on the servers. That's unlimited now. They're printing all the money in the world to make as many servers to collect our data and compute. And then the D is the data they're gathering from the smart cities and all the sensors. And B, so this is gives them the ability to hack humans in their transhuman agenda for those people who've been doing research. What we can do, and they're trying to censorize everything, what we can do is to minimize the data we give them. If we are able to take out the censors, take them down legally, work with your sheriffs and whoever your authorities are, and educate them on what's coming, and tell them that this is going to be really used for extremely nefarious purposes. You cannot get rid of AI. It's already there, and it's the beast. The beast needs food. Data is the food, and the data conduit is all the sensors, the smart city infrastructure, the 5G towers, your telephone, your cameras at home, your microphones at home, cars, and everything. They are the data conduit. So, in order to stop the beast, you need to get rid of the data conduit. The data is going to be there because humans are going to do everything all the time, right? We're going to meet our friends, we're going to go here, whatever. So it's the data conduit which needs to be addressed. You can't address the data, you can't address AI. Because data and the sensors, they feed the beast. I'll say it again.
The thing is, we did so many things wrong along the way. Remember under Obama? I remember under Obama how bad it was, and nobody was paying attention. He was buying back they were doing the buybacks on all the old guns and stuff, and trading people $1,500, $2,000 guns for their $200, $300 guns. So they were getting them all that way. All the bullet making machines, they grabbed them all up, all over everywhere, and melted them down. They talked about it. It was open. Also, you had the other conspiracy theories at the time that went along with what this guy's talking about with the currency collapsing is another big one. But you had a lot of conspiracy theories at that time, which are not conspiracy theories. They're usually the truths that are wrapped up in all the lies are usually called conspiracy theories, unfortunately. But you had the caskets under Bush, everybody pretty much. I mean, all the presidents were all involved in what's going down right now along the way, and you could see how bad it was. But Obama, with all his executive orders, he really laid into us. That's when all the chicken stuff that I'd like to talk about. I'm already at 40 minutes here. Might have to do 2 videos to make this video. But the people that are awakening are still missing a lot, and if you don't go and see what it is I'm showing you guys, then you're still missing too much. You're still giving the humans that are controlling all this too much credit. I like this couple that I'm listening to. The fact that they're religious and stuff like that, I'm fine with it. It's kind of nice to see that they have faith in the energy, but they don't know that they can. The thing is we all been so programmed with all the God stuff, with the Bibles and stuff, and then but the energy that they're sending out and the energy that they're seething and things like that. You know, when they're always praying. You know, and they're tapping into the true creator's energy. But unfortunately, we're giving the credit to the wrong entity. And we can see the real true creator's work all around us. Oh, man. I hope everybody wakes up. Oh, yeah. So when Obama was in, I mean, everything, they were all over Craigslist. And what just made me think of that was the automobiles. They were already doing the buybacks and then crushing all the old vehicles. They wanted all of the vehicles to be updated, and they made up stories. You know, they wanted them updated because they ran cleaner. But when you really looked, they didn't run any cleaner, and they didn't save anybody any gas. And even the catalytic converters, there's something to all that. Because they're carbon collectors. They're collecting certain carbons. They allow other carbons out the back, but there are certain carbons they want to collect, and they're pretty valuable just for their carbons alone. Catalytic converters. But they also wanted everybody driving a computerized car, so for the tracking purposes.
And so the final lockdown requires cameras and face recognition, sold to us as privacy and security. And that face is now used for digital ID, which is linked to a central banking digital currency. And that's the final lockdown. So we are always in lockdown mode. Always.